The epic and unbeatable Scrabble. The Nerds with Attitude.
Welcome to the N.W.A. Nerds with Attitude. I am Shin the Hero, aka Walt, and I have Rage Isaac.
Hi, everybody.
Animus Prime JR.
What is up, peoples?
And we have a special guest, friend of the channel, one of my boys. We got Doomville Arcade, Doom himself. Say hello to the beautiful nerds out there.
What's up, everybody? Glad to be here. I'm a huge fan of the Nerds with Attitude. I watch you all's video when I'm eating breakfast in the morning, so I try to catch as much of them as I can. But you guys, sometimes I have to pause it because I want to watch the stuff you guys are talking about, because it gets so exciting to a certain point. I'm like, oh man, this is good, but I can't even finish watching the video yet. I've got to go back and watch all 10 episodes of this show. Then I can come back and revisit the video. So, well done, y'all.
Hey man, we appreciate it. That's what we're trying to do.
Thank you.
That's what we're trying to do. Like, again, as I've been telling y'all wonderful, beautiful nerds out there, like, you could be Doom too. You could be on here with us. Like, we just get anybody on here.
Hey.
We want to hear everybody. We want the normal man to get their voices out there. That's what the normal nerd to get their voices out there and everything. But you saw the title, you saw the thumbnail. We doing the Batman. We talking about spoilers and all that jazz. So like, if you ain't seen the video that I did with the review, or you ain't seen the movie, you need to skedaddle, because we're just gonna spoil the hell out of it. We're gonna talk about, and you also will get these three gentlemen's ideas and whatnot, how they feel about the movie, because you already know how I feel about the movie. I'ma shut up. So again, we gonna get into spoilers. I'ma go hit this man Isaac first, because I know he's blowing up right now, because he wants to talk about this. Look at him. Look at his face.
Dear Isaac, headlights.
Isaac, first off, before anything, just give me your quick rundown. Did you enjoy the movie or whatnot?
I absolutely loved this movie. I loved it so much, I'm going to go see it for a third time on Friday. I saw it Saturday night, and then I went back the next day with some more friends to see it Sunday. And ever since then, I've been itching to watch it again, man. This is like, just quick thoughts, obviously, but I love watching Batman in his early days. I love watching angry, pissed off, dramatic Batman, and this movie gave me exactly that. Plus, I like my detective type movies. I like crime thrillers and all that kind of stuff. And to have a 3-hour movie be that and be a Batman movie at the same time, I was just like, oh, y'all really did it. And I was beside myself with how happy I was with the movie. I have like little problems with it, but all in all,
we'll get into that. I'm also gonna probably burst y'all bubble with something too.
Yeah, I know. Of course you are. I've been dreading this.
Cheers.
JR. What you think about Matt Reeves, the Batman?
I thought this was a very excellent Batman, an excellent version of Batman. Like, in all the other movies, they never delve much into like the aspect of him being like a detective, like figuring out like how this is done, or facing an enemy who
not true
outsmarts him. And
not true. Did it in Phantasm, but continue.
Here it comes.
Well, yeah.
But continue. Mm-hmm. Yeah, continue.
I need more Kool-Aid.
I'm saying Phantasm didn't have detective stuff. I'm saying like this one had like better version of it. I would think, in my honest opinion. But yeah, I just love how most of this movie it takes place at night. You know, like it keeps in line with the whole thing that Batman only shows up around the nighttime, stuff like that. It's just an excellent movie overall.
All right. Doom, the floor is yours, my brother.
Yeah, I thought it was a very strong film, and I'm a huge Batman fan. But given the DC EU's record over these last couple of films, I went in cautiously optimistic. We had Joker, which I thought was really good, and I liked Aquaman, probably just not as much as everybody else. I like Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman 84 was trash. I mean, you can just go ahead and throw that out. Shazam, meh for Shazam. And so, with there being so many different Batmen in the last couple of years, and me not being thrilled with Robert Pattinson being cast as Batman, I was pleasantly surprised because I forgot all that in the first couple of minutes of the movie. Just all went out the window. But I'll get into the reasons why when we get into the details.
All right. Well, guys, I mean, the floor is yours. I will say this. I know the movie would probably been like a 15-minute movie, but you remember the part where they were in the Augsburg's lounge, and when you find out that Riddler was taking those pictures, you could see him in the window. And if Batman just looked at the pictures and saw how he took the pictures, like how the rise and everything he took the pictures, he could have figured out, just look, that man over there. That's all. That's all he had to do. It'd have been a wrap. We've been good to go. All done.
True. That's true.
Or if he wasn't emo Bruce Wayne and actually was, Bruce Wayne, he would have been found out about everything that happened with his parent. Like if he went, because Alfred said a couple of times, like, yeah, the board meetings, they want to have a meeting with you and everything. He could have been found all of that stuff out, where it wouldn't have hit him as hard as it did when the Riddler had said. But I mean, that's just me. Okay, guys, you could go.
You make some points.
But I mean, like I said though, like even I said in the review, I was very thoroughly impressed. One, with how much of Batman we actually saw in this. Like this is like, besides like Adam West Batman and the Phantasm, you see Batman a lot in this and everything like that. And like I was surprised at that. And I wasn't in the camp where people were like tar and feather this man Robert Pattinson because he was a vampire in one of those movies and all that junk. I wasn't in that camp because the same thing happened with Michael Keaton, who I still think is the best live action Batman, Bruce Wayne and Batman. And then the same thing also happened with what's his name?
Ben Affleck.
Yeah, Ben Affleck. Same thing happened with him too. And then the performances came out and he shut up everybody. Like Robert Pattinson, he did great. Yeah. I'm still in the camp thinking that this Batman can't fight. I'm pretty sure we all here could probably beat this Batman. He was just throwing haymakers, man. But I do like
counters and parries, man.
I do like the fact that we didn't get shaky cam in this.
Yes, thank God.
Yeah. That all together. Yeah, they don't even ever need to have that in another movie. Period.
I do like that, and I mean, and then there's some other elements, but and I hate the car. Oh my God, I hate the car so much. I can't wait till he gets an upgrade.
I like how simple it is. I like how simple it is.
It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning.
I know, but this is like this is supposed to be his year 2.
He'll like
this is supposed to be year
upon the design.
It's supposed to be year 2 though. That's what it is. Year 1, I could have accepted. Year 2, I've read year 2. That car is off the chain in year 2. I'm just saying, man.
No, but if this is probably his first big case, this Batman's first big case, probably. I mean, it makes sense that he be riding around with the motorcycle, with his backpack, with the bat suit in the backpack, you know, trying to just basically randomly come upon crime and fight it. But this time, you know, he knew he would need the muscle. You know, he knew it was getting ready to go down, and he knew that they were getting ready to do some things there. So he figured he should bring out that 12,000 horsepower beast he had hidden. Is probably what, you know. It was flames coming out of everywhere. He turned
a literal muscle car.
Yeah. Right. The bat, there was no hood on it. It was crazy.
All right, we'll get into the things that I'm gonna switch it up. Things that y'all did not like you would be like your nitpicks or whatnot. The things that did not sit well that happened in the movie that you didn't like. How about we'll go with JR first.
Well, two things that kind of bothers me. The first thing, not so much, because I kind of understand why, and it's basically just Batman being Batman even when he's Bruce Wayne. You know, like he always has like the grim, broody attitude, even when he's out in public. Like he doesn't have like that that confident, suave persona. Or at least not yet, I guess. But yeah, that's one thing that bothers me. The other one was the ham-fisted Joker cameo.
Oh, you didn't like that? You didn't like that?
I didn't. I just thought it would have been fine without it. It just, yeah.
I was really hoping it was somebody else, like Firefly or something. That's what I was really.
Yeah, that's what me and Isaac were discussing about it. It could be anybody else, and we would be even more excited because we've been like oversaturated with the idea of Joker being like his biggest nemesis. Like that's his go-to nemesis.
Which he is.
People would jump to, which he is, and people would jump for joy just seeing him on any Batman movie. And I'm just like, you have no love for the rest of his Rose Gallery? I mean, there's a lot more compelling villains than the Joker. It's just my thoughts on that.
Was those the only two things that like didn't sit well with you? Anything else?
Yeah, the Bruce Wayne not being Bruce Wayne, and the Joker.
Hi, Mr. Doom.
Yeah, the Joker thing, I'd actually forgot about that, but I didn't like it either. It would have been better even if they didn't give you a shot of him, and if you just heard his voice and we had to have a conversation about who it was, as opposed to it being like a weird silhouette of the Joker with a little bit of light flashing in, and you could kind of see the hair and the weird face, and I think that would have been even better. I was happy that was the only riddle I got, though. That was the only riddle I got, was the one that the Joker told when he said the word. And I was in the theater, friends. So yeah. And I've been watching Gotham recently, so I was kind of up on that one. There were a couple of things I didn't like about it. Mainly was his relationship or lack thereof with Alfred. Because to me, Alfred is one of the focal points for Bruce Wayne, for Batman. He's one of the characters that kind of keep him honest and that keep him from going crazy. Is the way Alfred loves him and the way Alfred cares about him. And I understand that he might not completely agree with Alfred's ideas of things, but from the beginning, he's always trusted Alfred to the utmost. So if Alfred is telling him, hey, you need to do this, you should probably do that, Alfred comes in with his fatherly advice. I can't ever remember a time of him being like, Alfred, you're not my father. And it really felt out of place because this Batman is in his 20s, I think. And
Yeah,
I mean,
he
You're
should
not
be.
my dad.
yeah. You ain't my daddy. You can't tell me what to do. Right? All right.
That's basically what it feels like.
Yeah, like okay. And it kind of felt like Alfred was in the movie because you expect Alfred to be in there, but he didn't really become a person that Bruce really seemed to care about until after the bombing. You know, when that happened, then he was kind of like, oh wow, you know, what would I do without this guy?
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's what he was thinking. There was that. There was the fact that, and I agree with you on this one, Shin, because I came home from the theater and I'm like, okay, I have gone dark, haven't watched any of the Batman reviews. Come home and yours was up, and I was glad because yours is the only one I've seen. I was like, okay, yeah, let's watch this. Jim Gordon was kind of just not very Jim Gordon because he is a figure of authority. He definitely trusts Batman more than most of the GCPD, but at the same time, he knows Gotham well enough and he knows the criminal element well enough where he can kind of do his own thing and make his own moves. And it kind of seemed like he was a go-between guy the entire time. It didn't make sense that none of the GCPD trusted Batman, but Jim Gordon was still allowed as a lieutenant to bring him onto crime scenes. It didn't feel like he contributed too much to Batman's detective work or him actually protecting Gotham. And, you know, I would have liked more backstory because there was the scene where he asked Jim Gordon who this cop was, and Jim Gordon was like, he's this guy, and then Batman was like, yeah, he's corrupt. And then Jim Gordon was like, well, you know, why do you trust me? And Batman was kind of like, you're not corrupt. I would have kind of liked a little bit more backstory about that. I know they didn't do too many flashbacks in this movie, but to kind of understand why he came to trust Jim Gordon over all the other cops. If what happened in the Nolan films is considered to be animated canon, then you know he was the first cop to console him after his parents were killed, which is the same in the show Gotham, which kind of seems like it gives a little bit of filler in areas that not a lot of comics do and not a lot of the animated shows or animated movies do or any of the other live action movies. And Carmine Falcone was cast horribly, in my opinion. I forget the dude's name, but I've seen him in numerous Adam Sandler films. And it made me want to laugh when I saw him because he didn't have that you know, Carmine is kind of a larger than life presence. And he didn't strike me as that. You know, he didn't strike me as that. Whoever has played Carmine over the years in the animated movies and the live action representations of him, they've been more charismatic. They seem like, and I mean, him being a rat was just like, what? Him? Of all people, him, the Don? I mean, yeah. I mean, it's happened before, but it just didn't seem very true to character. And like I said, it's kind of like when Jim Carrey started doing non-comedies at first. I watched a Jim Carrey movie, and it was kind of challenging for me to watch it because I wanted to laugh. Because you see Jim Carrey, and you kind of just wanted to laugh. And so when he was in that, I forget the name of the movie. Where
Number
he, like,
23.
loses his memory.
Number 23.
No. 23. I like that one. That was he had done a few of them, and so I was kind of on board with 23. But it was some movie where it was like a love story or more of a drama, and I wanted to laugh when I saw him. And the movie
I know
really
I can't think of the name. I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I kind of got that feeling from Carmine Falcone, and I think that they could have probably picked somebody that. You know, maybe I'm nitpicking because he was kind of a bit player in this. He wasn't anybody that I see being in another Batman movie or anything like that. So I felt like they could have cast somebody that would have been more Carmine Falcone-like for him. But those would be my three things, aside from what Animus brought up about Joker. I had forgotten about how I was just, you know, you get that cringe where, you know, you're around somebody that says something real weird to get some attention, and you're like, man,
Yeah.
Yeah, you cool, man. You cool? Yeah, no, yeah. We'll talk about that later. The Joker thing, I was kind of cringe. It was like it was really on the nose. It was really on the nose, and they could have just left his image out and just had been a voice, and that would have done it for me.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That's what the name of the movie was. All right, Mr. Old Hunter Rage. Give me the things you did not like, the negatives, so you did not like, your nitpicks, whatever. What did not sit well with you?
Well, I mean, we can go ahead and start off with the thing everybody said. The Joker scene, I was like, I knew you were going to do that. It's okay. That scene feels like something that I don't think Matt Reeves probably would have put in his movie. The studio was probably like, hey, I don't know if this is going to be a franchise or not, but you should put this scene in just in case we decide to make it a franchise. And he's like, dude, do it. Here's like $500,000 more. He's like, all right, whatever, I guess. So I was hoping for because again, since we are talking about spoilers, since the city is flooded, I was hoping for like a Killer Croc thing to show up, because that seems like, I feel like Killer Croc would fit perfectly.
He's not
in that.
Just because of water,
he would.
He's not that.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
That's
it
what I
reminds
mean.
me of like the Batman show, because Killer Croc actually did flood Gotham City and basically said like, this city is now my swamp. That's his territory.
It would be.
It would have been a
dope
great
to just all of a sudden you see him somewhere and you're like, what the hell? Because like I feel like Croc in general would fit so well with the vibe that they're going for in these movies, like the actually dark and like slightly horror-esque vibe they're going with in these movies. Killer Croc's literally a giant crocodile, man. That's scary as shit. And he has to go against a dude who's dressed as a bat in like the worst city in the United States. You can't tell me Gotham is not the worst city in the United States.
It is.
They can see the bat signal at all times because of how bad the smog is. That's terrible.
I don't know, man. Coast City would like to have some words with you, man. But that's just
fair.
in the comics. That's just in the comics.
Besides that,
millions have died in Coast City by their hero. So that's pretty bad.
Let's see. Well, I was talking to somebody the other day about this. While I think she did do a great job, yes, I feel like there could have been literally anybody else in that spot. I don't think it really had to be Catwoman, because I'm glad they didn't do the whole thing with like, all of a sudden there's a sex scene between Batman and Catwoman. Because I was dreading it during the whole movie, because I was like, that's gonna break like the whole vibe for me for some reason.
I was waiting for that basketball
for a little
scene.
while.
I was waiting for that basketball scene, man.
He would have had to leave the mask on though, right?
She's like, no, leave that on. He's like, what?
Leave the mask on.
It's hot in this. But yeah, I just feel like, again, it is his second year, so I feel like it could have been a little bit, too early for this. But there could have been, like, I don't know, since the whole, through line was Bruce Wayne's an orphan, Catwoman's technically an orphan, even though, I mean, the whole thing with Falcone being her dad was... Anyway.
Which is true in the comics, too.
Is it? I was going to ask about that. All right.
Yeah.
And then Riddler is also an orphan. So there's a through line of the three technically main characters being orphans. Y'all could have taken Catwoman out and inserted one of the other orphans who end up becoming Robin at some point. Like, I don't know. But that's just an idea. Again, I feel like it would have been too early for that kind of thing anyway. But I was like, I feel like you could take...
Now,
Catwoman.
It's funny that you mentioned Robin. You know the kid, the mayor's son that runs into him a couple of times?
Somebody
And now that he's an orphan, I mean, he could be
I
that
was thinking about
Robin.
that.
I don't remember his
no,
name.
no,
I don't remember
no,
his
no,
name.
about that.
I don't remember
I don't
his
even
name.
think about.
But he could be. He could throw a wrench instead of Dick being the first one. He could be Jason. I don't know, man.
Oh,
God,
the
no.
friend that I went to see it with on the
The
second
most
night.
hated Robin of all time.
As soon as that kid, was at the funeral and Bruce was looking at him, my friend leaned over to me and he was like, "He's gonna make him the next Robin." And I was like, "Geez." Like, he was already scouting for the job. He's like, "Oh,
I need some help.
my first one."
Now I am
You
glad
can
that
tell
you
by
had
the way
said,
Batman's eyeballing him.
I am glad that you had said you gave the one villain that you wanted to be in that jail, that cameo scene, basically the end. JR, give me one villain that you would want it besides Joker. What one villain that you think that should have been in there at the end?
Crap.
Because fun fact too, also, this does, I mean, because they retconned it, but Riddler is being retconned Batman's first real villain he ran into in the comics.
Right.
Eek.
Come on, give me a villain. Come on.
Ooh, Talon. We could have.
You want the quarter owls?
I kind of do actually.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like it would fit.
I don't know how you would have got Talon in there, because he technically is a zombie. Well, William, whatever.
I mean, it
his
could be
name is.
anybody.
Yeah,
It really could be anybody if they want to
Doom?
retcon this.
Doom. Who would you like besides the Joker? What villain that you would want to be teased at the end?
Maybe Roman Sionis, but they killed him off already in the Harley Quinn Birds of Prey.
Now that's not connected. These aren't connected.
Yeah, these aren't connected.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I'd say Black Mask, especially given the state of Gotham. To me, he's kind of like, Penguin is the guy that can get you anything. He's kind of like the guy that runs guns. He runs drugs. He's, he can get a hold of anything, and he's got some power based on that. But as far as a crime boss, to me, it's always kind of the Black Mask. Like with in Batman's rogue gallery, I put him above Penguin as far as running organized crime. So I would have liked to see him.
Okay. I'm gonna throw a curveball at y'all. I know I said Firefly, and I have so much love for Clayface. God, I want Clayface so bad. I want to see.
I was struggling with Clayface.
I think Matt Reeves can probably do a very good Clayface. Like make the way he did this, make Clayface like a monster for real. Make it like a monster movie. But that's beside my point. I wouldn't mind seeing I think it's Mr. Toad and Dr. Pig, or Mr. Pig, the Toad and Pig dude.
Just Mr. Pig.
Yeah.
Just Mr. Pig.
No.
You don't need Mr.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
we don't
God.
know Pig.
Yeah,
I would
Professor
love that.
Pig. Yeah,
I would
yeah.
fucking love that.
Yeah.
I don't want Mr. Pig. He's
It would,
crazy so bad.
match with the tone of the first movie.
No,
Yeah,
that's
'cause
exactly why I don't want him. I know it would be perfect.
Yeah, him or the doll maker would be accurate.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. He just makes you feel all uncomfortable, don't it? They did such a good job with Gotham that, yeah, if they had Professor Pig or the doll maker in this, it'd be, they might have to bump it up to rated R then.
All right.
My joke villain would be Killer Moth.
Yo, Killer Moth is great. What are you talking about?
I mean, just like the dorky version. Just the dorky version. Like he's some too big thug who kind of wants to be in it with the gimmick villain stuff.
Give me Killer Moth, Clock King, Condiment King.
Condiment King. I am the Condiment King.
You know what would have been? I also thought about this since the way Riddler was and everything, and how much this was based on Long Halloween, they should have, instead of the Joker, they should have did Calendar Man. They should have did Calendar Man. He would probably fit better in there too. But
yes. Wow. Yeah.
But with before I get into the good stuff that you guys liked, the ending with the everything, because like technically Batman lost because cities all
because he failed to save the city in time. But
what do you guys think? Also, I mean, I'll get on that Venom thing. I hope somebody got words for that. We get into the thing he injected himself in, hit them steroids. That's Venom. That's basically Venom. I guess it's a nod to Bane or anything like that.
I'm certainly hoping so. Yeah,
When did that happen? That
happened at the end. At the end of the movie.
He got shot in the chest. Remember? And he couldn't get up, so he injected himself and he raged out and almost killed that dude.
Oh, I thought that was just adrenaline.
I thought it was just adrenaline.
Nah.
See, but why did they make it green? Why did they make it green?
Yeah, it was green, dog. And you saw how much stronger he got too. He got like ridiculously strong and everything like that.
He was raging out. So much.
Well, with that being destroyed and everything, dude, I know you're a comic guy. What do you think this is leading towards? What do you think how Gotham got destroyed and all that junk? What do you think is this going to be leading on? There's two storylines that I feel like it might lead on, but I want to hear your input.
Well, I'm hoping for Nightfall. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that at least the Nightfall. Yeah, I mean, Bane is my favorite Batman villain. They did introduce the Venom. And considering that there's going to be a lot more crazies coming out and things are going to be amped up because, once Batman starts to become more widely accepted, then you have more villains like the Riddler that take on these different personas, right? And so I could see definitely him going to it being moved in the direction of Nightfall, but it's kind of hard to say because there is the Court of Owls aspect that I could see working well too. Storylines involving the Black Mask, because this is all it's even more gritty than the Christopher Nolan films. And Christopher Nolan has always said that his stories are what really happened, and then the comic books are the sensationalized version of what happened with Batman. Well, if that be the case, then you could switch that around and say this is what really happened, and his stories are the sensationalized version of what happened with Batman. So I'd like to see Nightfall. I couldn't see them going with a death in the family storyline, but to see him actually
family.
Was that?
There's barely any family. Just out.
I couldn't see them going with that for that reason. But I could see something involving the League of Shadows, the League of Assassins, because Gotham is one of them places that has been known as being corrupt for all this time. And given everything that's happened, it would be right for, Ra's al Ghul to show up and do his thing. So, I mean, it would be a rehashing of what happened in the Christopher Nolan's, I know. But at the same time, that's kind of where I could see this going. Because I don't want to see another Joker anytime soon. And they, in my opinion, they got the casting right with Joaquin Phoenix in that movie. I always felt like instead of Jared Leto playing the Joker, it should have been Michael C. Hall. But DC never emailed me back about that. Nobody ever paid me any attention. So, nobody cares. And they, it's a character like you all said that has kind of been done over and over and over again. And, wait a while before you give us a Joker. So, yeah, I'd like to see, definitely I'd like to see Nightfall next.
I did not think about Nightfall or even Leah Shadows. I thought about the Court of Owls, but like I didn't even think about Leah Shadows. The thing that I'm sorry. Go ahead, Doom.
Arkham Asylum. Asylum, really good one. Arkham Asylum would be a really good one. The entire film just takes place in Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd like to
Yeah.
be. Yes.
But does he have a? But does this Batman have like a rogues gallery and stuff like that? If we're gonna base it,
Yeah.
if we're gonna base it off of that
He
comic,
only has like
if we
2
base it off that comic,
so far.
Well, no, he doesn't. He ain't
well,
gallery yet.
the Nightfall is good, but like there is some complications in that one because Robin is in that too, and he tried to be
John
Batman.
Paul Valley.
Yeah, John Paul Valley. I can see them doing that. I can see them changing it around. But what I was thinking of is there's 2 of them because of the Joker thing. The first one is I think this was a Rebirth. I think this is Rebirth. I'm pretty sure it's Rebirth. The War on Jokes and Riddles, which is
That
it
was Rebirth.
Jake,
That was Rebirth.
Joker and Joker and Riddler was having beef and whatnot. And that
could do that.
also happened in Batman's earlier time too. That happened in his earlier time.
Right.
Or we can do, since this is so based on Long Halloween and Dark Victory and all that junk, we can go into No Man's Land, which No Man's Land, a big earthquake hit Gotham, and it's basically what happened at the end of the movie. And then Gotham is cut off from the world and everything, and then there's gangs and stuff like that, which we might get a Bane in here and everything like that as one of those gangs. But I feel like those are the 2 that, because of the Joker thing, it's probably gonna be more a spin on War and Jokes and Riddles, but it could be No Man's Land as well. Those are the 2 that were the most obvious ones. But like I liked the 2 you had said, Nightfall, because I can see him doing it. Because you can still leave not Joker, but you can leave Robin out of that and still do the John Paul Valley thing and everything like that. You can still do all that. That's nice. Again, before we get into all the good stuff that y'all like, because I'm pretty sure y'all guys will go for days. One more thing. What did y'all think about the Riddler?
Has the most appropriate most appropriate reaction. Yeah. Like the very first scene with him, it was so unsettling.
When he shows up in the dark and all you can see is the TV reflecting in his glasses, as soon as he showed up, when the light turned back on, I was like, oh! And he just stood there and I was like, nope.
He was a slasher movie villain at that point. He was
He had a little Zodiac in him, didn't he?
Yeah, Zodiac.
Yeah. I didn't like that they changed his origin. I didn't like that part because, I mean, a big part of the reason he is doing what he's doing and trying to prove that he's smarter than everybody is because he's of his long-lasting daddy issues of his dad being abusive, and so I didn't like that aspect of it. But you know, he wasn't bad for this film. And I don't think he was bad for this film. You know, a bit more unhinged than usual. He was kind of angry with being unhinged, and that was, you know, he looked a bit spracked out. You know, like okay, you know, which is, I guess, a very different Riddler than I've ever seen. So, you know, there's that. He was original.
What you gonna say, Joe?
I get like autistic vibes off of him. That's just how I feel. Like it would explain his tendencies to really like for puzzles and all that, you know, because people of the spectrum, they think differently than most people, and he's like the extreme type of way. It just felt like that to me. So, and when he was captured and like talking to Batman, you can tell by the way he was like speaking how he's like he's not right up here, like, yeah.
Yeah, man, that's what happens when you hang out with yourself all the time. You ain't got any friends. Yeah.
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 So my thing on the Riddler is he just, I don't know. Again, this is probably the comic book person in me and all that. He didn't feel like the Riddler to me. He felt more like anytime like it's the jump scares or when he first showed up too and everything like that. He felt more like Jonathan Crane, Scarecrow. He felt more like a Scarecrow than the Riddler.
Another good villain.
That's what he felt like to me. I was like, man, they could have just the way they presented him, especially with the face mask and all that junk. The way they presented him, he felt more like a Scarecrow type than freaking the Riddler. But I don't know. I mean, I like how Buddy played it, and I like the portrayal and everything like that. And I'm glad we got a different Riddler. Jim Carrey will always have a place in my heart.
Oh yeah. He was the fun Riddler.
But okay, with all of that being said, let's talk about moments in the movie, things that you enjoyed. I'm gonna kick it off with Doom first, and then we'll go to JR and then Isaac last. Doom, give me some things that you love about this movie and everything like that.
I loved Gotham in this movie. It reminded me of, I'm not sure what city the movie The Crow was in. I think it was in LA, how it was raining all the time and how it always felt wet and kind of nasty outside. And I really liked that. And how active the city seemed to be at nighttime. And it took me a while to realize it, but you know, Batman is always like the leading supporting character in his comics to Gotham. It's always like Gotham City is the main character in his comics, and then Batman is like the number one player in that city. And I really felt like that in this movie, because when the movie starts, it shows you what's happening in the city. And at first I thought that I was hearing his thoughts, and then later on you kind of realize that it was a journal that he was keeping, right? And his ideas about what he was doing and how he didn't feel like he could be sure if it was even helping the city because crime in all aspects was up. And it really gave me that hopeless feeling. I know, like you all say, I mean, Gotham seems to be the worst city of all time. You know, there's always some craziness going on there, and they did a really good job of letting us know that it wasn't just the low-level crime, it wasn't just the organized crime, that city officials, police department, like everybody was kind of in on it, and it really did give you that hopeless feeling when the entire GCPD, you never can tell who it is that's on the payroll and who isn't. And then there was like that lower level club, and it's pretty much everybody that was in there are people that just shouldn't have been in there. Had no business being in there. People that if their constituents knew they were in there might not be voted into office again. You know, they might lose their jobs. So it really made me feel like the city was appropriately corrupt for Gotham. And it's something about the rain when it's raining at nighttime in Gotham in this movie. It felt a little bit more depressing, and it kept that tone throughout the whole movie. I was pleasantly surprised that I liked Robert Pattinson as Batman, because like yourself, Shen, I felt like I could kick the dude's ass. I was like, man, you can't cast this guy as Batman. Like, throw hands, man. I'll dip him, choke him out. That'll be that. But you know, his face. This is gonna sound weird, but his face when he's not wearing the mask reminds me of Bruce Wayne in the comics when he's in the Batman persona and he's not wearing the mask. Like right before Batman 666. He got into it, and this guy tracked him down from the 10-eyed ghost tribe of Africa, right? And so the guy tracks him to this restaurant, and Bruce cuts the power, and he goes into the kitchen. The guy's got all these weapons, and Bruce is in a tux. And so the guy has these 10 tattoos, these 10 eyes tattooed on his fingers, and Bruce throws some boiling grease on his hands and just burns the skin off of his hands, and the guy can't see. And then the young lady that he's dating comes in and looks at Bruce when he's in the Batman persona outside of the costume, and he is appropriately crazy looking. He looks nuts. He looks all the way crazy as a person would have to be to dress up like a bat and go out there and fight crime. You know, the Joker's always picking at him about it, talking about how crazy he is, how you're just as crazy as me. And I felt like he captured that well. And, you know, a lot of the times he was wearing the black eye paint, just walking around when he, you know, and his hair was never done, and he didn't have any social skills. And then he had completely given up his family's philanthropy, and the city was going to crap because of it. And he, you know, felt like what he was doing as Batman was more. He didn't care about the legacy. And so it felt like a early start for Batman. And I just really liked the way that he kind of grew during the movie, because towards the end, when, like I think you said it in your review, when they took the mask off the dude that ended up being at the mayor's funeral and talking all that trash about how something needs to be done, and he took off the mask and he was like, "Who are you? I'm vengeance." And then he kind of realized like the fault in that. And then after everything happened and there was the explosion, and then there was a water down there, and the live wire was getting ready to go down and shock everybody, and he swung in there. He used his bat symbol to cut the wire so that it wouldn't shock people, and he came in with the flare. It was such a powerful moment when he stuck his hand out and nobody would reach for his hand except the kid that saw him there when he went to, you know, investigate his dad's murder, and he kind of like let him out. And then you see him realize that he has to be more for the city than just... And there was the young lady, I think, that was getting ready to get lifted off by the helicopter, and she didn't trust whoever that was, and Batman had to reassure her that, you know, this is going to be okay. They're here to help. And so then, you know, she kind of gave in. Okay, well, you know, since Batman says it's okay, then it's okay. So probably a lot more things, but I didn't write anything down. So to prevent me from rambling, I'm gonna keep it. Yeah, because you know how I get.
JR.
My goodness. Like, the stuff that he said about the ending with him and the flare and leading everybody to safety, I also enjoyed that. It was so powerful. It even made me cry. It made me tear up. I was like, damn. That's Batman? Is that supposed to be Batman? Batman, the way how he's depicted, it's sometimes it's a symbol of hope or a symbol of fear, and right now it's like gearing towards hope, and that's what I liked about this movie. Like, from the very beginning, people feared him. Like, when he first when he was introduced, like when he was doing like his inner monologue, saying like how this city is filled with filth and like gritty stuff like that. I love the way that there's crime, like 3 different crimes going on at the same time, and like one person in each of those groups, they look up and they see the bat symbol and they're like freaked out because they look at this one dark corner and they're like, yeah, I'm staying away from that, give me light. And he used that to his advantage. He used that fear to his advantage, and it sort of backfires on him most of the time, because like when he's actually trying to save like civilians, you know, normally people would be freaked out by the dude who beats the shit out of people, but at the end, and he's able to reassure people, he was able to gain the trust of people. That's development right there. That's really good development right there. Also, another thing I enjoyed the most is that fucking car chase scene. It's just, I mean, it's something you see.
Look at Shin's face. Look at Shin's face.
It's something you see in the trailer. Like, you see the ending of it in the trailer.
It was
But
alright.
fuck off. Shut up. But the lead up to it, yeah, it was a stressful. I was like on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh shit, how's he gonna get out
like
of
you were
this?
in the car. Like you were in the car.
Like, I know the end result, but I want to see how that end result like occurred. And when that happened, I was like, that was so worth it. It was, oh man, it was so good.
Yeah, and then they showed it from the Penguin's perspective as well. That like
From upside down and like, yeah, he's about to get me. He's about to kick my ass. There's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, he was scared. He was scared.
I've seen better car chases in the Fast Five. Anyway,
Yeah.
Isaac.
My thoughts exactly.
Isaac.
Would you like mine to be a whole separate video? Because I could talk about this all
Just
day.
give me two. Just give me two. We don't got all day. Just give me two.
Let me give you 3.
Alright, just give me 3. I'll give you 3.
First of all, we were talking about how Batman, by the end, he's a symbol of hope and everything, which is always great because that last scene is fantastic. The imagery of him leading people out of the stadium with the flare is, honest to God, one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. The entire movie is beautiful, regardless. But I also just love watching Batman be scary, which is why, like, his opening monologue, and you see the 3 crimes happening, and then they all see the bat signal, and they look to the shadows, and he says it in his monologue. He's like, I can't be everywhere, but they don't know that. They think I'm hiding in the shadows, and they're all like looking in the shadows thinking, oh God, he's probably in there. We should probably stop and leave. And that's honest to God, probably one of my favorite opening scenes in a movie now. I keep thinking about it, which leads me into my second thing. The music in this movie is so good. It, like, his theme. It's funny because I think I was talking to my mom about this. Even though she hadn't seen the movie yet, I have to get her to go see this movie now. I was telling her how over the course of how many movies Batman's had, he's had a ton of movies. I don't think he's ever had a bad theme in a movie. Like, regardless of how different each theme is, it always still sounds like a Batman theme. And this one in particular sounds so insanely Batman. It's wonderful. Because it's like, you hear all the ones in like the 89 movies or the Dark Knight trilogy. They all sound very heroic and Batman-y. This one sounds like he's a horror movie character. And it totally works because where's he going to walk out from? And the way, like, he's so dramatic when he walks out. He doesn't come like running out or anything. You just hear his footsteps like he's Godzilla or some shit. And then, people are like, when he walks into the church to, try and defuse the dude's bomb around his neck, and the police are watching the feed, and then the guy looks and he's like, the dude's looking around because he hears something, and he looks over and Batman comes walking out of the shadows, and all the cops see him walk by, and they're like, I love that. I love how fast he just gets into places. Also, I like the idea. Because I kept seeing this part in the trailers where I didn't know the context of it. When he has to escape the GCPD, right? So he jumps off the top of the building. I thought we were going to get, the cape flying around, but he's like, no, I can't do that yet. Wingsuit, and then he still eats shit by the time he gets to the street. And it was just, as soon as he hit the ground, he's like, ah! I was like, ah. You're still very early in this battle. You haven't hit that part
You'll
yet.
get there. You'll
Yeah,
get there.
he needed
Another
a
happy
little bit.
landing.
He needed a little bit more AR training. That's what.
Yeah, he
needed, a little
did.
bit
Yeah,
more AR
basically,
training.
yeah.
But yeah, man, that's the only three things that I can come up with. If you give me more time, I can come up with so much more.
No,
But yeah,
we don't
I'll
have
just
the
go with
time.
that.
We
The
don't
thing
have
about
the
the
time.
music, it's only just two notes. Doom, 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 doom. There's only two notes, and they made it so haunting.
It's so
fantastic.
funny.
It sounds like the Imperial March, in all honesty.
I could see
A little
that.
bit, a little bit. Like if they changed the tempo of it, yeah, I could see. I can hear that.
All right. Before we get into the scores and all that, I got one more question for y'all. This is what we're end on with the questions. Get the elephant out of the room and all that junk. Is this the best Batman movie of all time? Also, is this better than the Nolan films?
Yeesh.
Isaac? Answer the
It's not
first
the
one.
best one.
It's not the best? Okay.
It's not the best one. It's top 3 for me.
Okay.
But is it better than the Nolan movies? Yeah.
All three
Yeah.
Nolan
Yeah.
movies? All right.
Just
all right.
barely better than the Dark Knight, because Dark Knight's really good.
All right. JR?
They're close. They're like the Batman is a little bit higher, but they are close. Yeah, the Batman is a little better
Than the Nolan films?
than the Nolan films. Yeah,
Man, is this the best Batman movie?
I still like Mask of the Phantasm. Not the best, because it's not the best.
Our guest, our wonderful guest, Doom. Is this the best Batman movie?
It is not, and I know that this might be a slightly unpopular opinion, but The Dark Knight is my favorite Batman film because Heath Ledger killed it. I mean, villains mean a lot to these films just like they do in any of the other media, right? And he was just a step ahead each step of the way. I personally think that the Joker is the most charismatic comic character, period, and he brought that to life. You know, I was in the theater that night when, opening, and it was like my first midnight showing ever in a movie, and he comes in there and how about a magic trick? I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. And it was just like people were clapping, and he killed it. So I'd have to give The Dark Knight the nod over the Batman, and maybe put it maybe a little bit behind the first Tim Burton Batman film because Jack killed it as well. I think that both of those films, even though the Joker's not my favorite Batman villain, he isn't. Bane is. You can see I'm not even putting The Dark Knight Rises in there, even though I think Tom Hardy did a pretty good job in that. I wouldn't even put that one in there, but I'd have to rank it number 3, but I'd give it top 3, definitely. So it'd be The Dark Knight, the original Batman, and then would be this one.
Okay, all right. All right, Doom, close us out with your ranking. Your out of 10 bats. Out of 10 bats, what are you giving this movie? What are you ranking the Batman?
I would give it a strong 8 bats. A solid 8 bats. Not a what would it be? A 8 plus or an 8 minus, but like a 85 8 bats right there. Because it really it was funny when we were driving home from the theater and I was talking to my family about the movie. And I was like, this really wasn't a comic movie. This was like more of a psychological thriller with a comic book character in it. And Batman was the guy that could fight really good, but he had a bunch of body armor on. He wasn't doing a backflip with the batarangs in his knuckles, and then he throws them without looking, and they all land perfectly. And then he hits the ground, and he drops the smoke bomb, and then nobody knows where he's at. Everybody's looking around like, oh, I heard he could disappear. I heard he could fly. There wasn't stuff like that. It was just, it was almost, and my dad liked it. My dad doesn't like any of these, and we all go to see him as a family. And we step out of the theater, and he's talking to somebody that works with me. He's like, man, this was real good. I'm like, Dad, you like this? Oh, yeah, it was real good. So I would definitely give it a strong 8. Like I said, I'm used to Alfred being a stronger presence in Bruce's life than that. That Detective Gordon thing, maybe I had too high of hopes because of who they cast as him. I like that actor. I also have been watching Gotham recently, who, Gordon is the main character, so I figured that he'd have, a little bit more power in it. And, I am glad that they gave him Catwoman, because, you have to have, I guess, the way that these things are, the formula, you have to have, like, a leading lady to interest and who is better fitting than her, really? She and the Joker were his first two quote-unquote villains, so it kind of made sense that she was in the first one, I suppose. And I wasn't too high on Zoe Kravitz playing Catwoman. So I was wrong about her and Robert Pattinson, because I think that they both did a really good job. And I gotta say, after I said what I liked about the movie, and then you all started talking, I was like, damn, I like that too. I should have said that. Damn, I'm like, the music was great. Oh my goodness. Yeah, when he was leading him out, that was a powerful scene. It was beautiful. It was powerful. I should have said that. So I'd have to piggyback and reinforce everything y'all said. That was really good.
All right, JR, out of 10 bats.
9. Solid 9.
Okay.
0.5.
Isaac.
Yeah, I have to give it a very solid 9, with a strange asterisk to it, which it's gonna be so unpopular when I say this. I don't want a sequel to this movie.
Really?
I'd much rather this be it. I like it just the way it is. I know we're gonna get a sequel.
Well,
I know we are.
The Penguin show that's gonna be on HBO Max.
Yeah, he's getting that. But I know he's getting a show. I know we're gonna get a sequel for the movie. But if it came out tomorrow that the show was canceled and the sequels were canceled, and this was the only thing we had left of that, I'd be like, cool, I'll buy the Blu-ray for it. I'll buy the collector's edition. I'm more than happy with just this movie.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to be killed. I can feel it.
I wasn't thinking that, but you're right. I'm worried about them messing it up too. I'm right. I don't want them to fuck it up from here, because I know DC has a really bad track record of doing that. As long as they keep, I would say, if Matt Reeves wants to keep doing movies, let him do it, or at least let him pick somebody to do the next ones, because I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
There has to be conditions.
When Burton was a thing, it was a different age and time. That's why Batman Forever was the way it was, because people was worried about, because how dark Batman and Batman Returns was. They were worried. That's why, and the corporate people put their foot in this. How we live in a different day and age and all this junk. I don't know. I feel like Matt Reeves did get a lot more play. He got to do what he wanted to do, and you could tell. I said in review, you could tell Matt Reeves knew the character. So better than Scott Snyder.
He's a Superman fan anyway. Yeah,
that's funny.
All right, Doom. you want to tell the people or what you do on your channel, and if you got anything you want to promote, like any videos that's coming out and all that junk, go ahead right now, and then close it out.
I wasn't even thinking. Okay. Yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm Imperious Doom. I have a YouTube channel called the Doomville Arcade, where I play single-player games, some multiplayer games, commentary. I just started doing... I did a review on Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm going to be doing more gaming reviews. I do shorts from time to time, because they're a lot of fun. I do Let's Plays on there, and then I have started doing some tips and tricks for Elden Ring, because it's a game that doesn't have any hand-holding. I've never played one of these games before, and so there's a lot of stuff that I don't know about it, and it's like, I'll put out a video, and then somebody will roast me about the gameplay, but at the same time, they're teaching me, oh, okay, I didn't even know I could do that. So, and in the future, you know, the next fighting game that I'm really interested in playing, I'm definitely going to add some of that on there. So, yeah, you guys can check me out on YouTube at the Doomville Arcade. It's not the Doomville Arcade, it's just Doomville Arcade. And I'm doing Elden Ring videos right now. I think one of them, if I'm not mistaken, just dropped.
Yeah, one of them did.
Yeah.
At least at the time of recording this video. All right.
Yeah.
All right, you wonderful, beautiful nerds. As we always say, show your attitude. You wonderful, beautiful nerd. Deuces.